Good President's Day afternoon, everybody. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud. We have a tornado warning now in play for parts of Putnam County here in toward northeastern Florida. Expires at 3:15, so we need to get people into shelter here. At 2:37, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Orange Springs, or 8 miles southwest of Interlochen, moving northeast at 20 miles an hour. So we need to get people into shelter here. This will be near Melrose Landing at 3 o'clock. Interlochen at 3:05, Hollister around 3:10, Flora Home and Borden around 3:15, and the areas that could also be impacted that are under this warning include Caraway, Manville, and Johnson. So we need folks to take shelter here in this area as things are evolving pretty quickly. As you see, an area of circulation here to the southwest of Interlochen that has evolved. This is moving in the general direction of Interlochen. We do have a communication issue, but I'm assuming that's what the Weather Service is saying right now to some of the other folks here that are watching this scenario evolve. And we just had a new warning, by the way, a thunderstorm warning issued toward Lafayette, Madison, and Taylor as things are ramping up really quickly here, folks. So let me go ahead. I'll switch you over to a broad perspective as we're really concerned about a number of different situations that are evolving this afternoon. It's getting really busy real quick out there as we are watching the potential for maybe a tornado to come on shore toward Lafayette, Taylor, and also in toward Madison. But right now they're warning more for the potential of maybe a damaging wind gust or some large hail over that way. So you see this here. We have just a bunch on the map, so I kind of apologize for some of these other colors. We have the risk we'll get to in a few minutes, but we have a lot going on. A tornado watch actually to the west, but we're having some of this action develop here more along a warm front, and that's causing some issues here. We just have to really be cognizant of everything that's going on this afternoon here in this scenario. We just really need folks to be paying attention here as we have a situation right now where we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that just got issued over toward Lafayette, Taylor, and Madison until 3:45. At about 2:43, a severe thunderstorm is located 17 miles west there of Steinhatchee, moving north at 55. So to kind of get in a little bit tighter here, we'll just kind of zoom on in, and we'll be talking about areas like Mayo, Perry, so Greenville, Pineland, Jug Island, Ebb, I believe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Buckville, getting over there toward Delk Beach, Jackley Island, Salem, San Pedro Junction, Hampton Springs, Sermons, Sadie Grove, Cedar Island, Fish Creek, and Cook's Hammock. So again, that's a severe thunderstorm warning for some action coming up there north at 55. But we do have a tornado warning. The region we're on right now, the reason that we're on, as we have all this instability around. So things really in a favored scenario here toward parts of Putnam County where a tornado warning is in play. You see the rotation. We need folks in shelter there to the south of Interlochen. So again, go ahead and get as many walls between you and the outside as possible here. South of Interlochen is where we're seeing this hook, and this is moving in the general direction of Interlochen. So right now, kind of like yesterday, in a relatively rural area, there are a few roads here, though. This is going to be near County Road 21, really right about now. And as we're kind of seeing a little bit of a displacement in the circulation versus the actual radar reflectivity. And that could be a sign actually of maybe this hopefully not touching the ground, but let's check for debris. We're not seeing anything too definitive right now, so let's hope this warning doesn't last too long and we can kind of regroup here and make sure we get you going toward the west as we have a more substantial threat out there later. But right now we have the task at hand, and that is a tornado warning for the Interlochen area. A possible tornado headed toward Interlochen here in Putnam County. This warning goes until 3:15, so you need to go ahead and take shelter if you're in the path of this storm. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible here toward Putnam County. A possible tornado. The circulation not all that tight, but when there's a warning, you have to go ahead and be inside and away from windows. We're seeing a circulation right now only adding up if you add the pixels together, to about 60 miles an hour, but it's in the general direction, it's headed in the general direction of Interlaken. So you want to go ahead, be inside, be away from those windows here if you're in the path of this possible tornado. We got to watch some of these other storms here as well for some isolated tornadic or severe development, though right now none of them look like they're that close to getting a warning. But this area here, we're now seeing a circulation again in that 60-mile-an-hour range or so with a hook on this. So a weak tornado could evolve toward Interlaken. Though that's not our primary threat here today. As we go ahead and give you a broader look at things, they have just sent out a mesoscale discussing as well. So let me go ahead and pop this on. Our broader look at things. I know it's kind of a little bit tight there, so let's go out even a little further, and you see what I'm talking about here, where a tornado watch is likely to be issued here toward northern Florida and the Jacksonville area as well over the next hour. As the parameters coming in play around here, they're watching that storm in Putnam County, so things are really acting up quickly. But our bigger threat out toward Tallahassee, where there's a tornado watch, meaning conditions are favorable for tornadoes in close to the watch area. I know we're not accustomed to switching back and forth between different areas of the viewing circle west to east like this, but that just tells you how dynamic the scenario is this afternoon, unfortunately. So we really need you to be on guard in this tornado watch area, really just all over North Florida and South Georgia, though, as we have a situation here where they're talking a strong potential for a tornado does exist here out toward the west, maybe even a tornado that could produce some significant damage. So talking about areas around Calhoun, Liberty, and Gulf over the next hour or two. So a tornado potential increasing there with even a strong tornado that can't be ruled out in that area. But as we get back toward the east, we have the tornado warning toward Putnam County right now. It's isolated discrete storm developing. I know we were talking about it this morning with our full update, and now we're seeing that unfortunately come to fruition here in toward northeastern Florida with a possible tornado to the southwest of Interlaken. So we need it in that shelter on Interlaken. As we put the path on, you can kind of see the general direction this is headed, and it's going to be heading pretty close, if not into Interlaken, over just the next little bit, as we do have a movement on this here. Northeast at 25. We did get an update from the Weather Service. They're talking about Interlaken around 3. So as we go ahead and kind of track this out, it's about 5 miles away. So you kind of do the math, and that is about 10 minutes, give or take. So tornado warning for Interlaken here till 3:15. You want to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible if you're in this warning polygon here in toward northeastern Florida. That rotation's showing up well. Luckily, we're not seeing too much rotation otherwise. And you see lighting off toward the Gulf of Mexico there, but more lightning off toward that line there. That's going to be more robust here later on as we're looking off toward the west. But right now, things are getting in a more favorable environment as we see the energy coming on up. I'll kind of back this up a little. You want to see how this is going from south to north, that energy. We have that warm front in play that we're talking about. And unfortunately, we do have this tornado warning storm right now with this energy really sufficient. And we see these significant tornado parameter numbers going up as well. So those are higher, though, off toward the west with that energy. And that is a problem there, as we do have an enhanced risk in play. An enhanced risk in play there off toward the west. I'll take off some more information, put our area on the screen. We haven't had an update yet on this, but that risk does go 4 areas as of now: Tallahassee over toward Valdosta and Albany, with the greatest threat here for some dangerous conditions, some significant damaging, maybe destructive wind gusts possible in this green area here. And then we have a threat for a strong tornado in this other area that's shown on your screen in that grayish, well, I guess brownish kind of color here. So again, we do want you to be mindful of this. So again, a tornado warning, though, right now is the reason we're on toward Putnam County, toward Interlaken. We need you in shelter there. Luckily, that rotation is weakening, though, so maybe we'll be able to go off pretty soon if we don't have another tornado warning issued as that rotation's really broadened out on our other radars. So let me go ahead and pop that on the screen right now. You see pretty broad rotation toward Interlaken, so hopefully they'll drop this warning. I know it has a water-fine hook, but right now we're not seeing a lot with this. Though there might be something in terms of a lowering on our correlation coefficient, which is interesting. Maybe had a quick touchdown and it's lifted at this point based on our storm relative velocity information as we're looking toward Denver Drive here, Denver Drive in Putnam County, and then going to be tracking this here off toward the north and northeast really as we're getting over toward Interlaken around 3, Hollister around 305, but this warning may be dropped pretty soon as that rotation continues to wind down a little. As you can see, it bright to the south, and then it's weakening as it gets closer toward Interlaken. So we do have a lightning strike there. We're just going to be continuing to watch the situation here this afternoon in Putnam County and all over our region, though. That's the big takeaway message from this right now. We're going to go ahead and switch you on over to our radar scope. We're going to go ahead and switch you on over to our other mode of the Doppler now, and you see we're not getting much in the way of bright colored on this mode, so that's good. 48 miles an hour one way, and that's about it. So may see this warning drop in relatively short order for Putnam County if the trends do continue here. That'd be some good news. But while we're on, I do want to talk about some action off toward the Gulf Coast here. And we're seeing a severe thunderstorm warning toward areas around Taylor County, around Perry. We would generally stay on for this area here with the warning, but I think I'm going to go off here if we don't have any new warnings so we can regroup, because this is not all that impressive, the action right now headed toward Perry. But I still to be mindful there in Perry and Mayo for that severe thunderstorm situation there toward the Gulf Coast. Perry, Salem, Mayo, they're under this severe thunderstorm warning until about 3:45 or so in that area. But right now that tornado warning does continue at the last check toward Putnam County. We're watching some areas here. It looks like we just saw a little bit of a wind energy type increasement here. A little bit of an increase there. You see 56 miles an hour moving closer to Interlaken, and now another area developing 54 to the south. So we have to watch. So that's not as of a favorable type area there on Doppler. We're watching some of these other isolated cells, but haven't seen too much out of these so far. So that's good, but we're going to watch that area around Interlaken for sure. Let me go ahead and switch this back over right now from radar scope. We'll go back over to our other radar where this warning does continue here. They haven't dropped it yet. We're looking at that rotation, some different modes of it on our Doppler. They might let it get past Interlaken before dropping it, just in case. We're watching this carefully here. We're watching this carefully, moving in toward Interlaken right now in Putnam County. A tornado warning in play. So go ahead and get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, as we just got an update there, an updated scan from the radar. As we'll go ahead and check here, really weak rotation right now. As we go over to wind mode, just straight line wind type mode I'm talking about. We're seeing 50 mile an hour winds or so, and that's indicative of a storm that's not really severe or tornadic, but you still got to remain in shelter until they drop the polygon. So we're going to be watching for that here, as the rotation just doesn't look all that impressive right now, which is good news. Good news for sure as we're looking toward Putnam County. So let me go ahead and switch us back on over to rotation mode. As you see this area here, really weak right now. We're seeing that slight risk, of course, underneath, as we just got another thunderstorm warning in the central time zone off toward the west. So let me go ahead and check that here, as we're watching for that potential. It looks like toward southeastern Alabama until 3 Central Time. So that's something that we're watching out that way, closer to Dothan. But you see the hook. Sometimes that can be indicative of a tornado, but right now we're just not seeing it in storm relative mode. But we are seeing these warm temperatures around. We have 80 in Williston, 78 in Ocala, 70 toward Jacksonville International Airport. So it kind of tells a story here. There's warmer temperatures moving in, but the more wind shear type dynamics that are in play that are more concerning are off to the west, off toward the Big Bend. So we really want you to be attention in that area here this afternoon. But tornado watch continues to 7 there. We'll have a new tornado watch, I'm sure, very soon toward north central northeastern Florida. So that's something that we just want to give you the heads up on as well here. Again, we're continuing our live coverage this afternoon. Tornado warning to 3:15 for parts of Putnam County. So you just want to be inside and away from windows in that area. Again, a possible tornado there. We see a little bit of lightning interlocking, but nothing too robust at the moment. You kind of see how that circulation was tighter toward the south, but it has weakened some, and that's good news. We're watching some more storms here, at least activity near Gainesville. I hesitate to call those storms, though, right now. We're not really seeing any lightning with them. So that's some good news as we're watching towards dark, but we have to just, again, watch this environment. It is favorable overall here for tornadic action, especially to the west, but even as you see with the warning, in toward northeastern Florida. Going to have that watch, a new watch issued for parts of north central Florida as well. So just remain weather aware here this afternoon. Just giving that early heads up about that watch out. Let me go ahead and switch back on over to our GR level 3 computer. That's really weak rotation overall, but you have the hook, so maybe a weak tornado around interlocking possible based on that CC issue there. Maybe a drop out, but I hesitate to really go that far right now. But that might be why the Weather Service is keeping this warning. They think we could have a really weak tornado in this area. And with that kidney being safe to this storm, a hook echo, you just got to remain in shelter here to be on the safe side. This almost looks like more of a landspout situation overall. But again, you see the winds here just not too tight overall here in this scenario, and that's good. But we're going to continue to watch this. I think I'm going to take a break right now. We're going to keep the stream going though while we have this tornado warning going for parts of Putnam County. We'll be back in a few minutes with more information as we're watching toward the south. Some action trying to get going there. So just kind of stay tuned here as we watch. We watch this situation here in toward northeast Florida, but a situation all over our area that does warrant paying attention to this afternoon. Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in the Weather Center as we continue to watch that tornado warning there for parts of Putnam County. It goes for another 5 minutes or so unless it gets extended. And right now, I'm not seeing a lot here on radar. Based on our indications, I would think that this warning would be allowed to expire and we wouldn't see an extension of it, but I can't guarantee that here. So we'll just watch to see what happens with what the Weather Service decides to do over the next few minutes. But a little bit of a hook still here, but overall, as we are looking to the southeast of Florida home right now, there's just not a lot of rotation here, and that's good news. But while I am on with this coverage, with this stream, I want to give you an update on some other action that we are following. So kind of zooming on out, we'll go ahead and take our tornado warning information off for now, as we'll go ahead and switch computers here, in fact, and to say that a new tornado watch did just get issued for most of the rest of North Florida and South Georgia here until 10 p.m. tonight. So it's really important to be weather aware. The conditions become more favorable for tornadic action. And we're still watching that severe storm off towards Lafayette, Taylor, and Madison as well. Some 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, inside hail possible there around Mayo and Perry through about 3:45. But really, Perry, seeing some of that threat right now as we go over to hail tracker. You see a little bit of that here, right just to the southeast or on the east side of Perry. So we're going to watch for that here. And then you see Mayo. Mayo is going to be getting to this a little bit later on, but not really impressive. But we're going to continue to watch as we also see a tornado warning off there near Panama City and Panama City Beach. So we're going to be watching that here in a relatively rural area, it seems. But that's really tight rotation, as indicated by that technology there, rotation trackers. So you just really want to be on guard there this afternoon as we're watching the action get closer in here. We're seeing really tight rotation on this. So let me go ahead and switch on over. I know this is out of our viewing area, but this could be an indication of what we're going to see here later on in toward our viewing area. You see the winds going real strong toward the radar here, and then we're seeing some pretty strong wind away from the radar as well. So that's indicative of some pretty strong winds that might be reaching the surface upward of about 100 miles an hour or so with this possible tornado. It's a really interesting structure to it, unfortunately, so you really have to just be paying attention as there's no debris signature, it doesn't look like yet, but we're going to continue to watch here off toward the west. Eventually this action will be cutting closer toward Tallahassee, so I just really need to be paying attention. But as we look toward northeast and north central Florida, we do see that tornado warning is gone now off the board for parts of Putnam County, and that is great news. So that's going to be allowed to expire here technically at 3:15, I think. But the great news is it's not going to be in effect past that. They take it off a little early when they're doing it like that here with the actual warning information on your screen. But before we wrap it up, you see weak areas of rotation here, but nothing that really stands out. But we'll continue to watch this action toward the first coast, toward north central Florida as well. As we look toward Ocala, we're watching a little bit of rotation between Ocala and Bellevue, so we'll watch for that as well. And we do have that severe warning off toward Perry that remains. And normally I would stay on for that, but we need to regroup because that's not all that impressive. We'll go ahead and look at that on our Tallahassee radar, though, on radar scope one more time before we let you go. Make sure there's no tornado scenario trying to evolve there. And this does not look like a tornado scenario at this point off toward Tallahassee's eastern zones with this one area that we are watching. Really talking about a severe thunderstorm that was located near Steinhatchee there, or Steinhatchee, whichever way you want to pronounce it. But as we go ahead and go back on over, you don't see too much in terms of wind right now with that, so that's good news. We're seeing more action with some hail potential up toward Perry, but no tornado warning in this area right now. No tornado warning, but a severe thunderstorm warning remaining in effect until 3:45. So we'll continue to watch all of that here as we look at rotation tracker, and then we'll go ahead and run the view out. We're really watching that action off toward Bay in Washington County because that could be capable of more significant tornado here later on. So just stay tuned. Tornado watch is in place. 7 o'clock toward Tallahassee and Albany, and 10 o'clock here as you look toward the second watch box off toward the east. I'm going to wrap the stream up for now, but severe thunderstorm warning does continue for parts of Lafayette, Madison, and Taylor counties until 3:45. And if there's another tornado warning issued in our coverage area, we'll be back on in an instant.